You always need the best to bring the best out in you. So I was always fortunate to have to know that I was going to play against William Felton Russell.
The winning is only important if you beat the best. My friend Wilt Norman Chamberlain was far and away the best player I've ever played against.
It's the greatest debate in NBA history. Russell or Chamberlain? From 1959 through 1969, they played each other an astonishing 142 times. From day one, Wilt Chamberlain was a Goliath, the greatest individual performer the game has ever seen.
There will be a period of orientation for me, of course, like it is for every newcomer in the NBA, but I think in the long run I'll be able to handle myself man-to-man with almost anyone in the league.
For me, there's no debate. Russell's teams won 2/3 of their games against Wilt's teams. Russell's teams finished 16-2 in elimination games and 10-0 in Game 7s. Russell's teams won 11 titles. Wilt's teams won 2. Russell even won 5 MVPs, with 4 coming at Wilt's expense. He's the greatest winner of all time, and it's not close.
Let's talk about these MVPs. I think you said 62, which is all the way down here, that was your favorite one because that was your Wilt averaged 50 points a game, and Oscar had the triple-double, but you were the MVP.
Well, we won more games. I mean, it wasn't close. We won the Eastern Conference by 12 or 13 games.
Wilt's 50, did you feel like that's something he could have done every year?
No, that's special. That's once in a lifetime. In fact, I told him, I said, you know, Wilt, I think I'm the only guy on this planet that knows how really good you are. Because he was smart on top of everything else. Yeah. He was the smartest guy I played against. When I was a rookie, Wilt was a freshman in Kansas. We played a Sunday game in St. Louis. And he drove to St. Louis from Kansas and looked me up, and we spent the day together on Saturday.
And you'd never met him before that?
No. And nobody knew that we knew each other.
He'd come past my house on Thanksgiving because we played Philly, Boston all the time, sleep in my bed, eat the food, sleep in my bed, and go out there and whip my butt. You understand? And my mother would say, no, Wilt, we shouldn't feed Bill so well the next time. You know, whatever. But yeah, well, okay, you're right now. I'm gonna do something about that. You understand?
People seem to think that your friendship with him helped you a little bit competitively because he liked you so much.
That's a crock. Do you know what the NBA rebound record is?
It's 55 rebounds by Wilt Chamberlain.
You know who the other center was that night?
It was Bill Russell.
Now, how's that taken easy? Well, after he got in the league, folks were trying to compare us. I decided that I will never change the way I play for the Celtics, to try to play to match him.
I wrote a chapter in my book about you and Chamberlain and some of the perceptions that have emerged since you guys finished playing. And one of the things that almost seemed a little bit of a myth to me was that people say you always had better teammates than him, which wasn't necessarily true for about half of those seasons.
He played with some good guys. And we talked about that one time, just once.
After you played or during?
Long after we played. He said that that was not true, simply because his teammates had to feed him, and I fed my teammates.
And the thing that you did was you were able to adjust to whoever your teammates were.
My adjustments were always, what will I have to do to make sure we keep winning?
Bill Russell, 30 points and 40, I repeat, 40 rebounds.
You get the 10,000-point basketball here and the 20,000 rebounds. I don't think anyone's getting 20,000 rebounds again. I'm going to say I think you and Wilt were the only two. I think that's it.
He called me up one day. Sports Illustrated had a cover and said, is Dennis Rodman the best rebounder ever?
Oh, God.
And Wilt was so annoyed. And I cleaned it up saying annoyed. So he calls me up and he asked me, did I believe this bleep? And so I said, well, I don't pay attention to that. He says, I had more rebounds a quarter than he had a whole game.
In the 60s, Wilt was just picked apart more than any athlete. Why doesn't he do this? Why does he only care about numbers? Did you think it was fair?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I never did any of that foolishness.
You never said one thing. Yeah. Was it true that you always wanted $1 more than Wilt, or that was the end?
That's just one time. What happened was, Red and I was sitting there at dinner, and one of the waiters came and said, "Did you hear about Wilt? He just signed a contract for $100,000. Oh, good. Good for him.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah, I said, "Red, you know what I want, don't you?" He said, "What?" I said, "I want $100,000 and $1."
And he gave it to you.
Kicking and screaming, he gave it.
He must have been miserable.
It's all over. And there they go. They've won it again.
The man has 11 rings and 10 fingers. Now, I asked him, "Hey, Bill, why not let me have one of those rings that you can't wear?" You understand? You know, and he gave me that cackle of his. So I said, "Well, maybe I'll give you a finger then." So I gave him the old finger. So he can have a chance to use that 11th ring he has.
As the 60s go along, you become the ultimate winner and the ultimate teammate. And Wilt is this guy who had all these records, but we all know winning's the only thing that matters. Did you feel like he was starting to resent you at all, like the way that people
No, I don't think
about
so. I don't think so at all. I don't think either one of us ever resented the other guy.
Chamberlain can't move. He really twisted that knee.
Game 7 in the '69 finals, Wilt got injured in the second half. He ended up playing.
And this could be a big factor in the closing minutes of this game.
And for the first time, you were critical about him.
What happened was I was speaking in a college in Nebraska, I think, and there was a reporter and the guy there with the students.
Oh, and you didn't know there was a reporter there?
And he says, "You wouldn't have won if Wilt hadn't got hurt." And I was annoyed. And I said, if I got hurt and so I couldn't play, they'd have to take me straight to the hospital.
And you guys didn't talk for years?
Yes. But a couple of years later, I had a chance that we were alone. I looked him in the eye and I said, "I apologize."
Wilt Chamberlain died today at his Bel Air home of an apparent heart attack. The Big Dipper was 63 years old.
I'm unspeakably injured by what happened the last few days. This was an integral part of my life and a good friend.
Wilt and I were not rivals. I tell people that, and they say, "What are you talking about?" We were competitors. You see, in a rivalry, there's a victor and a vanquished. He was never vanquished. And so we were competitors.
By 1969, Russell had secretly decided he was done. This would be his final season. For the 6th time that decade, Boston faced the Lakers in the finals. This time, the Creaky Celtics were heavy underdogs. The Lakers didn't just have Jerry West and Elgin Baylor. Now they had Wilt Chamberlain, too. Uh-oh. Fittingly, it came down to a Game 7. The Lakers had home court advantage. The Celtics had Russell, somebody who had never lost a Game 7.
I can't help but wonder, how do you feel about going into another 7th game, this time on somebody else's floor?
We've done it before.
Everybody thinks you guys are like the old fart Celtics. You don't have a chance. The Lakers are going to be the new powerhouse.
I want to set the game up for you so maybe you'd understand my attitude.
I knew what he was going to say. Even though Russell owned them all decade, the Lakers were so confident before that Game 7, they stuck 10,000 balloons in the rafters to be dropped right after they won. Before the game, Russell found a copy of those celebration plans. You're not going to believe this, but he took it a little personally.
I said, if this team played the best game any team in the history of this franchise played, they would still lose. I said, it's impossible for them to win tonight. I said, I'm going to explain it to you. They are a great basketball team. Tonight, we're going to find out how good are they at track and field. We're going to fast break. So every time you shoot, I want one guard on this side, near half court, another guard on this side.
So it's the old Cousy play.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing now.
I said, the key is defense, rebound, and outlet passing. I am the best that ever did that. We're going to run them out of the gym.
80. And
Russell shoved it through.
We're 17 points ahead going into the last quarter.
And then you held on down the stretch, basically.
Yes.
Right?
With Wilt watching the last few minutes from the bench, Russell prevailed over his favorite competitor one more time. The Celtics miraculously celebrated one last title. And no, they never dropped those balloons.
And the Celtics, they have done it again. A spectacular finish.
At the end of that game, you got interviewed by Jack Twyman, and you literally couldn't speak.
Chris, I'm here with Bill Russell. Bill, this must have been a great win for you.
Jack?
I know it's hard to say what's in your mind right now, Bill, and it must have been a great win.
Well, this is such a great bunch of guys, you know, and it's just been so fabulous the way they played for me. And it sounds all corny, you know, to start talking like that, but I told these guys before the game, I don't care what happens, I wouldn't trade you guys for any guys in the world.
You hadn't told anybody you were retiring.
No. I never had to second guess myself about, well, maybe you could have played another year, or maybe you should retire a year earlier. I played just enough games. Not one too many, not one too few.
Russell finished with a record 11 NBA titles, including 2 as player coach. Unlike so many, he left at the perfect time, on his own terms, for the right reasons. He couldn't summon that rage anymore. The great Bill Russell was done.